And as different as it is right now for athletes, Sheldon, I can only imagine what it's like for a head coach, an assistant coach, and or a manager. And when Brendan Shanahan tabbed you to be the 31st head coach in Toronto Maple Leafs history, he said a big reason was because your record with the Marlies in terms of development, and that kind of translated to on ice success. So this is really up your alley, Sheldon. How has COVID-19 impacted the development of your players right now?
Well, Hazel, I think the biggest thing, obviously, is it's allowed for time and reflection and all of those types of things, and uh, both on a coaching level and then from what we can pass on to the players, we've really challenged each other to come back out of this because, of course, our unique situation. Much like Pascal, we just interrupted our season, and we were just getting ready for a push towards the playoffs, and uh, we're not just wanting to just sit around and wait for a word to be able to get back at it. We want to use the time wisely and challenge the group to come back as better versions of ourselves, as I said. So it started with us as coaching staff to use the time to really get to know our players better as players and analyze their games, and then be able to provide them with some information and touch base with their strengths and connect with their strengths and what we really appreciate about them, and then look to get to work at the areas in which they can improve upon. And there's limitations, of course, on what they can do on a physical level.
Yeah.
But we think mentally there's a lot of gains that all of us can make here in terms of coming back with a better understanding of who we are and where we need to go.
That's an interesting point. I want to ask you about that. Is the challenge more mentally trying to get them, to re-engage and to kind of motivate them once again? Because you guys were right in the middle of the season. Unlike MLB, they're just getting ramped up now. So do you see a challenge that way?
Yeah, that was a challenge that we faced initially. And I'll have to say that, first of all, our players have done a terrific job for themselves of seeking information, seeking guidance. And then our performance staff has really led the way. Our strength and conditioning coaches, our medical staff, connecting with every player and really just seeing what their situation is, what they have available to them for equipment and space, and then be able to cater a program to them to capitalize on that. And then just through communication, myself being in contact with them and other members of our staff, just to see how they're doing, how their families are doing, and sending information to them. Our general manager, Kyle Dubas, has done a terrific job of sending out daily emails and notices to everybody just to keep us informed of anything that's happened in that day. And of course, everybody's following the news and such, but just how it connects to us and what we need to know. And I think the players have really appreciated that.
Of course, it's hard not to notice what's been happening around the world right now. And I want to ask our panel to really reflect on their recent thoughts and feelings in light of the current dialogue surrounding racism. Sheldon, do you feel like you've got a platform and an audience that can make a difference? How do you see your role in contributing to really moving that conversation forward?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I've really been thinking about a lot here is that, first of all, that I have a lot to learn and a lot to listen to. I think being in hockey in particular, a very predominantly white sport, I think we have a lot to learn and a lot that we don't quite understand about what other people would go through, and along the way, I've had people of different races that I've played with and been teammates with, and you've always felt that they were a part of the team, and things were very much normal. But I'm sure that it's very much a different perspective that they would have. And I think now in a leadership role, really what my platform and my role as I see it is to make sure that the environment that we're creating is one that would accept people for who they are, whether they're players or staff, but then also just to get to understand their perspective and then learn about what role can we play to spread the word, to get it out to the community. And I think right now I'm learning a lot, and it's creating a lot of time for reflection about what we can do better. And I think certainly hockey we've seen a lot of great responses from
Yeah.
a number of leaders in our industry. But I think we have a long ways to go in that regard, and now is a really good time for us to continue to develop in that area, to stay with the theme that we're talking about here.
Sheldon, George Floyd wasn't the first man to, die under police brutality. Is it different this time? Do you get a sense that there might be real change this time around?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I think one of the big things, that the fact that we're going through the pandemic, being what it is, and it has created a situation where I think the world is paying attention, not just Canada or the United States. I think the
Yeah.
world is paying attention, perhaps more so than they would otherwise, and I think that as it relates to this this situation is a very positive thing, and I know it is a positive thing within our organization. We've been having conversations, and we've been talking about things and internally, and I don't know that would have been the case in other situations. So I think that this is very different, and of course we can all hope that it will lead to greater change and greater understanding, and we all have a role to play in that.